We're just going to move on at the moment. I've said it yesterday and I'll reiterate, we really can't hold these conferences and give you what we give you at such a reasonable cost without our awesome sponsors. So I want to make sure that I send a thank you out to our platinum sponsors, Mojarra, and I'm going to invite Mojarra on the stage in a minute to give a little presentation, but also our gold sponsors, EcoSave, our bronze sponsors, Allerton, Aquabubbler, Green Sense, Impact Sustainability, and of course our carbon offset sponsor, Climate Friendly. And a big shout out to iAutomation for last night's welcome reception as well. I thought they were excellent and well worth spending some time with. Please do go and speak to our sponsors in the breaks and find out what they've got to offer, because their products and services are worthwhile. Now, if I could just ask Robert Nicholson to come up to the stage. Robert is the National Business Development Manager of Energy Efficiency at Mojarra. He's been involved both directly and indirectly in the energy efficiency industry for the past 10 years. He's worked in China and he's facilitated the introduction of air conditioning duct cleaning standards into Southeast Asia and the effect on system efficiency. Returning to Australia, Robert joined the energy efficiency industry in business development and has worked with a number of multi-million-dollar projects with several government, commercial and industrial clients. Please welcome to the stage, Robert.
Thanks, Leanne, and I take this opportunity to thank ACT's organising committee as well. These events every year are fantastic, and this is my fourth one under a couple of guises, but it's important for us as an organisation to engage with the student bodies and the university bodies and the sustainability community within those, and that's why it's important for us to be here. That's why we enjoy being here. So hopefully from this few days, the learnings that we get from here we'll be able to take back and introduce into your institutions. So we're very proud to be the platinum sponsors. We've been in the energy efficiency space at Mojarra for about 10 years now, and really during that time we've been focusing on trying to learn, obviously, as the industry's changed over time, but also share those learnings with our clients, and that's a very important part of what we do, not just to improve energy efficiency, but also gain a broader understanding of what the energy resources that they're using on their sites. And that's really what we're trying to educate the market in some respects, of better use of the resources that they have on site. And that's what the efficiency really comes into play. So I thought today, just in keeping with the ACT's conference of sharing learning, I'm just going to share with you some results that we've been able to that we've had on our projects, and basically we've been able to share with our clients and how we share them with our clients. And I think that's a really important part of the process, is what our clients see and how they get the information that we provide them. And it also allows them to see what their operational activities and how their sites are performing, and by using some of the services we provide. So really, energy efficiency is one of those things that creates a lot of questions. And trying to answer those questions, you sort of have to find out what are the right questions to answer. And it can be really simple things like, what can I do on my site? What new technologies are out there? How do I go about it? Where do I start effectively? In a lot of cases we find that people want to do, and organisations want to do a great deal of things, and they're not quite sure where the best place to start is. And on the other side of it, it's, if I do something, how do I know that those results are actually going to be achieved? And that's, in this industry, critically important. So that verification, because if you do a project and then you go back in 6 months' time and ask your finance managers or your vice chancellors for some more money, they're going to say, well, where are the results of the ones you just did? Because if we don't know what's going to happen, why should we continue to fund it? So it's pretty important that we sort of answer some of those questions. One of the ways that we think it's achievable for us to do that is to really create partnerships with our organisations that we work with, our client organisations. So we can be sort of a collaborative, and we want to make sure those relationships create value, because in some cases it's going to be financial and the energy consumption value that drives a particular project. And we do a lot of work in the commercial space as well, and that's ultimately the driver, is what's it going to cost me, when am I going to get my money back? But the savings are also have a very, very strong social value. And I think with the education sector, that's really driven through the programs that university and tertiary institution programs run. You're talking and teaching and becoming yourselves the sort of the next leadership in the organisations and also our students. So this whole social value, I think, is is an important part of the economic value, and it becomes that ecology of energy efficiency. So I'm going to go through quickly 4 case studies now that they're a slide each, so they're not going to be sort of long drawn out, but you'll see how we can sort of share some of the results that we have with our clients. Now, they're fairly simple screens, but it's just with what we call our sort of project tracker. And you see up here in the brown area, that's what the consumption of a site is before anything's done to it, or before certainly we've come along with it as well. There may well have been, in this case, there was a number of energy efficiency projects already in place that have already been introduced. And we were sort of asked to come along and say, what else can be done in this building? So this is kind of where we took over, where it changes to blue. And this red line is, what is the normalisation of the pattern of consumption at that particular site? So we take into account maybe the weather. It might be, and we're working with a school at the moment, a private school at the moment, where we're taking into account term dates and when borders come back and those sorts of things. And so we can add a number of different variables in to get a consistent energy pattern. And then that gets forecasted out based on history and also based on what's happening weather-wise or whatever other changes there may be. In the blue here is when we've come on board, and you'll see all these little white gaps, and they're areas where consumption is less than what was forecast to be. Because measuring savings is a weird thing, because if you can't measure what's not there anymore. So having that, what we think should have been there before you did any project, we're measuring that difference. And it accumulates over time. So this second graph is just a direct reflection. So this started a year ago, in fact, early September last year, and then it adds up to say, over the last 12 months, we've had a cumulative savings of 85,000 kilowatt hours, and that's on top of what they did. So that represented an 8% saving in that site. On top of, they'd already done their lighting, they'd already done a lot of controls, and these were things that it's really just trying to optimise what they're doing on site there. So I won't explain each graph the same, it's the same principle in each one of them, but there's a slightly different story to each one. With here we had a target, we put forward a proposal to save, and we exceeded our target quite significantly, and that was because we were able to measure very accurately over time. So we were achieving 20% savings at this site, and it's being maintained over the last 18 months. And the key with energy efficiency projects is that it's all well and good to go in and do a project and do some retrofitting on different parts of the consumption, the lighting or the air conditioning, or introducing some other technology. But how do we know that it works over a long period of time? And key to what we try to provide is to make sure that those savings are being maintained over that period of time. So any behaviour changes that are a result from controls, or things that happen. If you don't watch something, it'll go back to the way it was fairly quickly, and we know that just from a sort of the psychology of people. So they've saved in this particular site. It's a community site, sports and aquatic centre, 593 megawatt hours over the last 18 months, which represents about $90,000 to them. So it's very, very important. Again, here we're using just purely an energy management system, and energy management systems, there's a lot of us out the front actually with this type of solution, but data by itself is purely just data. It just means nothing unless you actually get in and do something with that data. In this library, we've been able to identify a number of savings because the BMS wasn't correctly controlling some of the switches it was meant to be. We got 7.5% savings purely on identifying different opportunities after hours. So our client sees this. This is the same screen that they have, is the same screen that we have, and I think that's a very important thing as well. They see it the same day we see it, the same, we get, it's updated every 30 minutes, and they are seeing exactly the same thing that we're seeing all the time. So those behaviours and controls that are being maintained on a daily basis, they're being monitored all the time. So it's really looking to facilitate site optimisation. And then we've got a particular solution in a retail scenario where we looked at voltage optimisation on a refrigeration system. It was the major load for that site, but it's had a big impact on the overall savings. So 14% savings of refrigeration reflected, to close to 10% savings. And these numbers, can be big, can be small. Some of them are big, but for our clients, they're very important, and they see them on a day-to-day basis, and they can track this in a number of different screens. But I think it's really quite important that we share this with our clients all the time, and that's really what this is about. This is what this conference is about. What we learn, what happens, and if there's any blips here, and a couple of them there was some dips, we can go back and say, well, why weren't we maintaining those savings, on this particular day, on this particular instance. So there are 4 sort of very brief case studies. I didn't want to sort of be too involved in how we achieve those. I mean, I'd encourage everybody to come and have a chat to us during the breaks and over the course of the next day and a half. We're here all the time. Chris, Cam, myself are here. For us, we believe transparency is quite important in what we do, and we have this framework within our organisation called the Energy Aim, which is assess, implement and maintain and measure. So it's based on the principles of continuous improvement. So these sort of things are an ongoing process all the time. You don't walk into a project and walk away. And our experience in developing and delivering verifiable and sustainable energy and cost savings for our clients, we want to make it totally visible. We want to make it fairly simple, so our clients can take control of what their energy consumption is and therefore reduce their costs. And probably nowhere is it more important to reduce costs than in public organisations where you're relying on government funding, whichever seems to be ever decreasing. But across all organisations, a cost saved means there's a lot less dollars have to be earned to generate that back into the system. So for us, I suppose, it's sort of transparency is not only the new green, but it's a new way of communicating. So our partnership with our clients is about making sure that they have access to exactly the same information that our engineers do. So when we're talking to them on the phone, we're looking at the same screens. The public engagement, their students, their clients, or whatever the case may be, are looking also at screens that understand what's going on within that organisation. So it's a collaborative partnership, sharing our results, and really that's what these sort of conferences are about, sharing different ideas and sharing learning. So please come and see us during the breaks. I mean, there's a break now, which we're probably all keen for a coffee and a cake. But I did read somewhere the bad effects of banana cake or something, that was how bad it was for you, I think, or carrot cake, worse than a soft drink. But come and see us during the break. We're happy to have a chat, and we're happy to answer any questions anybody might have now, but I think we're probably coffee time. Thanks very much.